Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Crew Talk. It's our first episode.
It's the first official episode after our pilot.
That's true.
I'm Chris, by the way. In case you didn't know.
Oh, I'm Nick. Sorry, I forgot. People don't know us yet. We got to get this thing going. Even for you guys just listening, you could just imagine what I look like.
And we've got a guest with us today, James Diaz.
Yo,
from 512 Creative.
Thanks for having me over.
Thanks for coming.
It's my honor.
I want to shout out Kayla Valdez. She did the new logo work. You might notice it on all our social media and YouTube page and everything. So
that's great. We still got to figure out who's going to represent the light bulb and who's going to represent the microphone.
I don't know. It's probably going to be a
Can
mixture.
I be the light bulb?
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out for you.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we got, some interesting things going on. You're going to be leaving us actually for about 2 weeks. Tell us about that.
I am.
What are you doing?
I'm going on a Europe tour actually with
Europe.
Yeah, with Bethel Music. So I'll be the programmer, lighting designer. I don't know. It's a weird thing because it's a bunch of different like festival shows and stuff, and then they have the couple of their own shows. So yeah, it's gonna be cool. I've never been to Europe, so there's that aspect of it.
It's very true.
You
have done a tour.
I have done a tour.
This is your second tour.
This will be the second. This
what was your first tour? Tell us about it.
This will be the first time actually programming and stuff. I was doing just tech on the first one, which was with an artist named Brooke. So I did lighting tech for that. It was like a 2.5 week tour. It was actually really cool. First time doing something like that. Learned a lot.
And that was mostly in the States.
Yes, mostly
all over.
Mostly in the East, which is apparently that's just the place people go for tours. Is just East Coast.
It never comes to the West
Never
Coast.
comes to the West Coast.
Never. Especially if you're in the Christian music industry, they'd never touch the West Coast for some reason. Unless it's like Arizona.
Yeah, but
or Texas.
Yeah, that's like
exactly.
Great. Well, we're gonna miss Nick. So if you're listening, watching, whatever you're doing, we're probably gonna skip a week because we can't do this without Nick.
We
it just wouldn't be as much fun.
We thought about the Zoom thing, but my French isn't that good, so I don't know how I'd do that translated over here to Zoom. So.
And I only know wee baguette, so that's the gist of that. But yeah, so welcome to the second episode. We're gonna talk to James now.
Yeah.
James, you and your partner own 512 Creative.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about what your company does.
Lighting, primarily lighting.
Boom, there it is.
Video and audio, but I feel like we have like our niche now. Like there's just this niche for some weird stuff that we do with lighting. A lot of like, there's a lot of. I think it stemmed from like COVID. A lot of those drive-through shows kind of just open new avenues, I guess.
Yeah,
and
you guys do a Halloween one and a Christmas one.
Yeah, we do the Hauntoween.
Hauntoween.
And that one's really pretty much fun. You get to be creative. You get to do all kinds of stuff outside and really like challenge yourself and go.
This is in L.A., right?
Yeah.
Because you guys are based in Chatsworth, I believe.
We're in San Fernando.
San Fernando.
Yeah. So
love it.
And we host Hauntoween in Woodland Hills. So
cool.
Sweet. And is the Christmas one in the same location?
Same location.
Awesome. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool. I almost went last year, but Christmas, as you know, Nick, is nuts.
Yeah,
and Halloween for us.
It's a fun time for us.
So,
but I mean,
yeah,
it's family friendly. You know. Big crew. It takes a lot. I mean, the prep time, we start like somewhere in September. So,
dang.
Because you want to open up by October 1st.
Yeah.
So
it's not Halloween if it's not in October.
That's it.
It's true. Tell us about the story of 512 Creative.
Yeah. I had worked at a previous lighting company, and I was there for like a long time. I think it was like 14 years. So
dang.
I was just like, I've always had the desire to like challenge myself. Maybe I could do this. And after much thought and, I got a lot of counseling from people like, hey, you should just do this. And so we took the plunge and decided now's a good time. There's a lot of shift going on in the industry. There was some big, lighting houses that were like selling their gear, they're trying to make moves. So I was like, maybe this is the right time for us to do something like that. And I talked to my business partner Chad. I said, hey, would you want to start a company? Why not? And here we are. And it took us, I think I want to say at least about 2 years to really
Yeah.
get our marbles together and really we talked every day and because it's not just like, hey, we're open.
Right.
It really does take time.
Yeah. When did you guys first start like
the talks?
The business.
I want to say like 2015.
Okay.
Because
So you've been in business for 10 years almost.
I want to, like there's the ghost years where
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, let's
COVID
build these
and all that
blocks.
stuff
Yeah,
too didn't help at all.
no, it did not. But I think that's when we decided, okay, I mean, just coming up with the name,
Yeah.
it's
True.
something, it's branding. It's like, okay, well, 512, and you'd be surprised how many people were like, what's 512? What area code is that? And I'm
Right.
like, you're in
It's
lighting.
DMX.
Right? Yeah, man.
People.
But and so it was one of those things where we're like, okay, between branding, where's the shop going to be? We started in our garage. It's as simple as that.
You are Steve Jobs.
Oh,
Yeah. Literally.
Steve Jobs.
That's a
of
big
lighting.
compliment.
All the best companies start in a garage.
Yeah, but I remember I have pictures of it too. It's just we packed everything in my garage. We packed his garage, and we're like, okay, we need like a small little self-storage space. And then we outgrew that real quick, and it just kept going. So, here we are years later, and glad we made that plunge because it's not an easy one. you
Yeah.
know? So
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
your company's done some pretty fun events.
Yeah.
And
Which
I've
you've
gotten to
been a
work on a
part of.
few of them. Yeah, I've been a
Yeah.
few,
You
I'm
have
part of a few of
been.
them. One of them was Birds of Prey, the movie premiere. We made a giant Hollywood sign.
Yeah, two of them.
Two of them in Hollywood.
I remember this guy texted me every day that week. He's like,
It
hey,
was-
look how cool I am. Like, look at this. And he just keeps sending me
was
different
massive.
video clips.
Were you able to I don't know if you were on the 101. Could you see one of them off the freeway?
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing that. I'm
Yep. Well, because I drove from one to the other one.
yeah, that's
And
right.
I was like, I could see both of them.
That's
It's
crazy.
yeah,
So,
that was a
yeah.
that
You
was
guys
a
have done
fun
some
one.
fun stuff, and then we did the Griffith Observatory,
Yeah, it was
where
Delta.
it was the Delta and the Olympic kickoff because they're like the founding sponsor, I think.
Yeah, our client had asked us to basically make it look like a runway with lighting.
Yeah.
And so, the Astera dots came in clutch there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you did a great
Those are
job
great.
making it look.
It was a fun programming experience, that's for sure.
Shout out to VT for that. I
Yeah,
mean,
VT Pro.
You got in trouble.
I did get in
You
trouble.
and I was
Did you-
okay
I was
with
gonna
it.
say, did you hear about
He's
this?
because hey, we
I'm
have
like,
a
man,
BMFL.
I wonder how far these can shoot.
Yeah.
And the Hollywood sign is right over there.
Yep.
And they never light up the Hollywood sign. If some of you don't know the history of the Hollywood sign, they haven't lit it up since I think the 50s or the 20s even.
A long time.
Because people would drive up and through the neighborhoods to try to get photos of it and stuff.
Well,
and
just
so all the
accidents and stuff.
celebrities probably didn't like it in accidents. So
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I took a BMFL and shot it at the Hollywood sign.
One did it. Just
yeah,
one.
Just one. And they ran over so fast
park
and yelled at
rangers
me,
were so
turn
mad."
off the light. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I had no idea.
We were just testing
Yeah.
the light. My
We were just
bad.
testing it. Well, really? It was shining on the sign? I didn't see it.
Hey, but me and you know.
We did it. We lit up
we
the
did it.
Hollywood sign. So,
Sell that
yeah.
information to Roby, like, hey, listen, this one
Yeah.
light can do it. Just so
right.
you're aware.
And it was far.
It was.
So it was great.
But fun. That was a fun gig. It was
Yeah.
cold.
It was cold.
It was like,
Cold, long nights.
Yep. And there's a bunch of coyotes kept coming up there.
Oh, yeah?
dude, it was.
Oh, yeah.
It was a little gnarly. I mean, 3:00 at Griffith, at the observatory is a thing.
I mean, just that sense
Yeah.
alone. Yeah, we were just, 3 a.m. at Griffith, lighting it up for a Delta thing with the Olympics. No
Very
big deal.
pretty. Very pretty
You
up
know.
there.
For sure.
Yeah, James, you said you started this in 2015, and you also said there was like some ghost years in a sense. Like, what were some of those like really hard points for you in starting that?
Well, leaving the company we were working for, because it's like you got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I had a good health care package, making decent money. Why would I leave that?
Yeah.
But I think part of it for me was I needed the challenge. I wanted to do this. And if you're not getting challenged and you're just, collecting a paycheck, I mean, that's great for some other people. But for me, I felt like I think I could do this. And that was one of the things that I had to get through my head. Like, I might fail. Like, there's no guarantee here.
Right.
Like, I'm literally cutting my safety net and just taking the plunge. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to take the plunge, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you're up against your own mind battles, because you're going, you know, there's like 100 people who are smarter than you are, way better looking, like you name it, right? But the thing is, like, they're not doing it.
Right.
They're doing their own thing. So we pushed ourselves, and I'm glad we did. It was a risk, but I think the bigger risk for me was like regretting it 10 years later and going, why didn't I do it?
Oh, yeah.
True. So there was that. I mean, obviously the besides the security of having a job, and, you know, in our industry, it's up and down. You know, it's like, if you have a good job, you don't let it go. And now here you are, like, freelancing, right? And it's like, oh, you know, I'll take a couple weeks off, and then you don't get anything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's up and down. It really is so navigating that stuff was difficult, you know, and then realizing how much stuff costs.
Yeah.
You start a business, it's like, okay, the little startup fees, and then, well, insurance. I'm like, oh, yeah, that thing, you know, and like, oh, you need a space. Okay.
Garage isn't working anymore.
Space. Yeah,
Right.
the garage got too small real quick.
So thank God for those vendors, you know, like you build relationships.
Yeah.
You tell them, hey, I'm starting my stuff. You know, Kinetic Lighting was one of those big, like, pushers for me in LA that were, like, supporting me, you know, and helping me out in that area of for my business, because I don't have all the gear right away.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the cool thing. Like, there's a lot of, like, community with all the companies. Like, they're not really against each other a lot of the time. Like, they're willing to sub-rent, obviously, and give good deals to help other companies. Because honestly, when more companies get more gigs, they're going to come back to them, because I need more gear and you have the gear, and it's kind of like an ecosystem. So it's pretty great.
So everyone, you know, and it's a small knit community. Like, it is. I mean, we think of LA and, like, California, but, like, I know people from San Francisco. I know people from Arizona, New Orleans. Like, you just build this. I may not know someone that you're gonna go on this tour, but I'm gonna know someone that's been over there,
right?
And I'm gonna call you, Nick, and I'm like, hey, who did you use out there? And, like, what do you recommend? And, like, there's this network and like organic stuff that happens with relationships that help you be successful. And you know, I think that's the cool thing about our industry, is that it's a tight knit community. Like,
right, totally.
Yep.
Well, that, and it's just cool. Like, you always want to see if someone can do something cool. I just want to see it. Like, it's the chance to see someone do something where it's like a Super Bowl performance, or like you get a big award show performance. It's like, bro, how did you do that? Like, who did you use? Because, like, I want to be able to step up and do something like that. And now everyone's getting kind of involved with it and stuff. So, did you have a show, like, when you were a younger company, that was like, we're good, we're for sure making it at this point? Kind of helped ease the nerves a little bit. Did you have anything like that?
You know, at first it was a collective. Like, in the silent years, I had a couple clients that I would do on my own with it was just like James Diaz, and that's it, right? There was so I basically procured everything, small little, like, youth conventions or something, you know, little workshops and stuff like that. Eventually that was like a consistent thing. And as we evolved, there was, I guess there was certain clients that really, like, hey, we want to do more with you, you know? And so I think once it's building the clientele is, like, the biggest challenge, because the number one question is always like, well, where do you get the clients from? Yeah. You know, and to me, it's more relational. Like, you if you build relationships with people, and people that you might not even think could help you one day, end up being in those positions, and they remember, hey, you had that lighting company, right? You still do that? Yeah. And that's what, in many cases, happened for me. And also, like, when I went to school, I had a friend who was doing sports stuff and ended up working for ESPN, and then worked his way up. And then he called me. He's like, hey, you have a lighting company, right? Yeah. And so it's just those building blocks. You don't realize that maybe you're planting seeds now, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, those are your solid clients. So
it just goes back to always be kind of a friendly guy. It's that industry.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, because as you know, there have been many times, I'm sure, since we've done lighting, there's a lot of pirates in the industry. You know, those like disgruntled people, right? And but that only gets you so far. I think that if you have something you share, which is the love of production, like why not make friends?
Yeah,
true.
You know.
Yeah, someone told me once, you could be the most talented programmer, engineer, technician, but if you're a douche to work with, no one's going to want to work with you.
You're right.
And it's like, there's a lot of people like that where they're the best out there, but nobody wants to work with them because they've kind of created this toxic environment every time they're working with a team. But yeah.
Yeah, and life's already toxic. Like, you know, like it's already hard. Like, you don't need to add to it.
Well, that and the work can be toxic. Like, it's late night calls. It's 3 a.m. You know, setups. It's, hey, we got to deal with a client who's a little annoyed because things are taking a little long.
Right.
And it's like, well, if we have to be toxic to each other, it just makes everything so much worse.
Yep.
So that friendly environment, you know, it just.
It doesn't help when you're hangry either.
Exactly.
No.
You know, us chubs need to have our food. You know.
It's true. Take us through the process of working with a client for an event. How does it work for your company? Like, hey, for instance, I want to do this drive-through experience. What's like your process from like their concept or their vision or their big sky idea and then bringing it down to like something that's doable technologically and labor-wise and logistically?
That's a great question. If I was going to summarize it, it'd be like just revisions, because what happens is they come in with the concept. Everything obviously starts with the concept, but it's kind of, it grows. It starts with a really big, and then you're like, oh, what's your budget?
Yeah.
You know, so you have to do a lot of
famous question.
You know, like, how much you want to spend? Well, 0. Right. Okay. Right. Well, how much are you willing to spend really is the question, you know? And so there's a lot of finagling and going back and forth. But I guess if it had to start, they come with the project, they explain what they want to do and produce. We go, okay, well, what are you working with? I think a lot of the times people don't like, I mean, I hate talking about money. Like, I really do. And they are kind of like, they're in this budget. You know, the client needs to spend X amount of money to make this happen.
Right.
And so how do we make our client happy, and how do we come out so we're not like breaking even, right? So a lot of that has to do with just being clear and concise and really not being afraid to go, hey, maybe that's not realistic, or can we do this? Because it saves a lot of time. I mean, I've gone through like 100 revisions and we thought it was going to be this grand, and then the budget's like, and you're like, we did all that work, and you know,
or they come back and like, hey, the promoter or whoever cut some of the budget. Like, okay, well, now
and it's not always on the client. It's, you know, they have their client, and then, you know, or we're sometimes 3 times removed. You know, it's one of those things. It's not like we were talking about that observatory thing. Like, you know, our client VT Pro is asking us to help, you know, because they need certain things from us, and you know, and a lot of the times that's how we help each other. They're too busy to do everything, you know. But there are other times you have direct clients, and they're like, okay, this is what we want to do, this is what we want to spend, and then we work backwards, if you will. Like, okay, you have $100,000. What are we going to do here? You know, and I think that's how we kind of work the negotiations. Sometimes it's volume, sometimes it's really quality and not quantity. You know, I think we want to be the best we can be for our client. And my thing is, I want to make sure that they can like go to bed if they wanted to and leave us alone. Right. Because the producers have like a million things to deal with. You know, the production manager and our clients, it's not just, they're not just dealing with production, they're dealing with, you know, other stuff. Right. Whatever it is, you name it.
And they're better to deal with 8 hours of sleep. Like,
right. So
come back to me when you're happy.
So if you build trust, I think that makes your job easier, and they come back to you because they remember, I can go to sleep. If this company is working for me, I can go to sleep. I'll be fine. I'll be taken care of.
Do you have any type of gear, whether it's a lighting thing or it's maybe like a software thing? Do you have a piece of gear or item that you just would always want to have?
Yeah, besides my computer. Live without. Yeah, gear you can't live without.
Gear that I can't live without. Nodes. You know,
Never have enough nodes.
so,
Yeah.
geez, pars. I mean, that's a good question. That's a loaded question.
It is.
Because
We did it on purpose. It really helps fill the
yeah, thanks. You
time
put me on
going.
the spot
Yeah.
here. Like
Right.
I feel, man.
I will say, I'm going to throw out there anyways. The DMX Cat from City Theatrical,
Yeah.
we've got 2 of those things, and they're great. They control lights. You can address them through the RDM.
Yeah.
They're a cable tester. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I would. That's a good one. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to steal yours, but that is a great one.
No, it's-
That's
I think
something
every,
that we
I
have
think
in
every
our
tech should have that, honestly.
in our little roadbox, like toolbox. You
Yeah.
know, it's just it's grab and go and easy to solve things. So, man, but I mean, for me personally, it's just going to be. I'm going to stick with my computer. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but I can't do anything without it. I mean, well, you want a lighting thing, so okay.
Do you have a software on the computer that's like
Vectorworks?
Vectorworks?
That's
great, yeah.
I would say that that's another thing. I mean, everything we do goes through
Yeah.
Vectorworks. There's
Everything.
no way.
That's what I was going to go through next. A lot of people, like, right now, it's like the world of apps and stuff. What are, like, pieces of software that you use for a company for scheduling, project management?
Oh, there's so
Obviously,
many.
you said
Slack.
Vectorworks for obviously
Slack's
plotting.
one of them.
Slack, yeah, Slack's good.
I love our inventory software. It's current RMS. I mean, it really does.
Yeah, a couple of people we know use that too. It's pretty great.
It really is. I think it helps our shop stay organized and helps us know, hey, you're overbooking this stuff and what we need to sub-rent really.
Yeah.
That really
Right.
is, because I don't think there's ever a time we're not going to sub-rent.
Right.
I can
There's
have
so many
all the
shows
gear.
going on. Yeah,
You know, we're not going to have enough gear. So I would say current RMS, Slack, Vectorworks. I use a lot of, believe it or not, Adobe Acrobat. Like,
Oh, dang.
there's a lot of even Photoshop and stuff
Yeah.
like that, because like there are times our client needs some revisions on their graphics.
Right.
So we go in there and boom, this
Yeah.
Adobe suite really helps us on that end.
Yeah,
you know?
wait for us for a graphic designer, or just
Yeah.
hey, it's a misspell. Just go in there and change the misspelling.
Yeah,
real quick.
or like
Yeah.
they send us a video file. They, you know, we're about to
Yeah.
do like something with a video wall, and I go straight into Premiere Pro or something like that, and chop it up or
Yeah.
output it to a different format. I mean
Totally.
that stuff helps, and it seems minuscule, but it really in the long run, it really does help. So
true.
Do you have a lighting fixture in your eyes that's like, I need this fixture?
you know,
Yeah.
I always like a wash, like whether it's just like a Aura XP or like something. I feel like that it needs to be a workhorse of a light. You know what I mean? For a long time, it was like a platinum beam because it's like quick beam, you know, and you have a lot of them, and
You get a lot of them for a lot less money.
right.
Just
Well,
drench
that
the sky in
and I
beams.
feel like anybody who had platinum beams, those things get beat to hell.
They
Like,
Yeah,
do,
those
And they
they're
will just
really
work.
bad. I've
those
seen
things
some
work through rain.
We were in Puerto
Coachella,
Rico, and
everything.
it was like this. It looked so rusty. I mean, I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's no way." They're the only people out there, right, with the gear.
Yeah.
and it worked. It worked. It did the job.
Good old-fashioned
you know?
platinum beam.
But you know, there's obviously other fixtures out there now, brand newer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
a wash for me is a moving wash is for what we do, because it could be a quick, you know, hey,
Yeah.
I need this perimeter, just give me color
Lots
real
of
quick.
color, yeah.
Something with the zoom, and then we're good to go. So
Oh yeah.
Totally. We want to give you a chance to brag for your company. What are some projects your company has been a part of that you're really proud of?
there's so many. We did it was a gaming championship for Battle Royale.
Oh.
At the Palladium. No, not the Palladium. Sorry, the Shrine. The Shrine.
Dang, yeah.
And it was all three facets: audio, video, lighting, and it was just really cool to be in a venue like that, because you're doing all three facets in this one room, and it just the colors, because gaming, they love bright colors.
Oh, they go off for
You
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's an energy, because gamers do bring some energy to the room. So
Yeah.
like for a live event, it really just elevates everything else, but just, you know, fixture wise, I think that Battle Royale championship event we did was up there. I want to say we did an NFL draft too.
Oh wow!
For the Chargers at SoFi.
Go Chargers! Yeah.
So I think that was and that was through another of our clients, Joe Lewis. But it was just being in that arena. It's massive.
It's a huge arena.
I think I did like 30,000 steps, and I'm like, dude,
it's a lot.
I know.
It just dwarfs Disney when you're walking Disneyland. You're like, oh no, SoFi.
You can fit the park in there. It's crazy.
I think I took like 2 weeks off just from work, just working after working at SoFi. Is just like, I think that was cool. I thought that was stellar, you know. And again, that Griffith Observatory thing, because I've always it's an iconic site, you know.
True.
And being
it's
up
a
there,
landmark. Yeah. So
that was cool.
So many movies up there, TV shows are shot up there.
No, but personally, I want to say it was when these Endeavour spaceship had to go to its main site, and we were working for Toyota, and we were lighting up the spaceship for their commercial. Whereas the Tundra was pulling the spaceship.
Tundra,
And so I want to say, like, for me, that was my favorite. It's just like, when do you get to say you lit up a spaceship?
Yeah,
and
that's
it's like,
true.
You know, it's in front of
and
Randy's Donuts.
The older ones too, like the last time you would probably even see this thing outside of a museum.
And so now, every time I step into the museum there in Los Angeles, it's like, hey, I remember that. You know, it's just I have that connection with it. So I want to say that would be my favorite one.
Love it.
And I mean, just the idea, like you said, like, oh, we lit up a spaceship, you know. How many people get to say they're ever going to do that again?
True.
Like,
no,
it's probably a
happen.
one in a million chance ever again.
True.
Well, they had some cool shots. Like they put like GoPros in like the hotel rooms.
Oh, wow.
So they rented these, like, and obviously they were vacant, but they put GoPros, and it's like you see this big spaceship coming through.
The Godzilla effect, where it's just rolling through the frame.
Just the endless shots you got from just navigating this thing miles all the way to downtown LA. It's pretty cool.
And it goes with that jump you made. If you didn't start this company, who knows?
You wouldn't be able to light
someone else would be doing it.
That's right. That's right.
Crazy.
So, do you have any advice for someone like coming up into the production world?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's lots of it. Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. You know,
learn to love coffee.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Maybe
that goes without saying.
Maybe I get a little bit more. Right. Someone trying to jump into the world of, like, you know, they want to get more into like the freelance side of things, or they want to get into this, you know, they do their local church, or they do like a theater or something, and they want to jump into this world where it's, hey, I can do other big events like that. Like, what's some of the stuff that they might need to know going into it, kind of thing?
I think develop tough skin, because if you're not, if you're sensitive, that's going to really, it's going to crush you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And this world is pretty hard when it comes to that. But, you know, I did come, I started in a little church, and that's what, you know, sparked my passion to keep going. I would say learn as much as you can. There's no excuse not to learn. Yeah. Especially now, you can Google everything. You could watch YouTube on end. We didn't have that, you know, that wasn't there yet. So there's so many ways to learn now. Fill yourself up with information. Be kind, you know, be nice, and be a go-getter. It doesn't take much. You just, the way you stand out is by being good. Just be a good person. Just work hard.
Good people, yeah.
And don't complain. Just keep going. And I think you'll get far. I think people will notice when someone works hard and puts the hours in and is willing to learn. Don't pretend you know something. Right. It's okay not to know everything either. Yep. You know, it's like,
oh, absolutely.
I don't know how do you do that? Show me how to do it. Yeah, how you do it. I'll learn it. You know. A lot of the mistakes I've seen younger cats do is they say they know something and then, like, they don't. Yep. And they're like, well, I never said I could, and it just becomes a problem. It's like, hey, let your ego down, let your pride down. If you don't know something, just ask and learn. That I think that's as simple as that.
Very true. Any advice for someone who wants to start a production company specifically?
Specifically
Again,
in
don't
the
do
LA,
it, no.
specifically in the LA area.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the LA area, because that's a very different experience versus like a business anywhere else in the country.
Yeah,
I feel.
for sure. I mean, LA has its big challenges, obviously, besides just like the taxes and stuff like that. But
Right.
honestly, my advice would be it has to be a passion of yours. If you're doing it just to get money, I mean, you already missed the boat there.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what it's about.
Right.
But if you have a love for production and you feel that urgency of like, I can do this, then do it. Don't no one's stopping you. The only person stopping you from doing it is yourself. And there's a lot of fears. Like I told you, I had the same fears, which is there are better looking people than I am, believe it or not. You know, there are way smarter people than I am. Like the list goes on. Don't be your worst enemy in that camp. Just do it. Like there's like one of my favorite rappers said, make moves or make excuses. You got to make a choice.
Yeah.
And then stick with it. You know, just everything comes with the challenge. But I mean, pick your challenge. Which one's harder?
Right.
Like, don't do the business because, you know, you want a steady paycheck. Fine, that's fine. Or you have this urgency and you just feel like this is what I always wanted to do. Then do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you except yourself.
Yeah.
So sometimes the safety net is you just got to cut it. So that would be my advice.
Yeah.
You know.
Love it. Last thing, we obviously want to give people resources. Are there any resources you found in social media, online, that's helped you in your job that you want to share with anybody? And we'll put the links in the show notes on the YouTube channel.
Just, I learn from everybody. You know, I love these going on like the Roby Instagram stuff and the Chauvet and the Elations and like just seeing the fixture and what it's used for and then following the track of people that use it on their rigs, you know, because honestly, we all learn from each other. I don't see it as a competition.
Yeah.
I see it as like, man, that artist is amazing at what he does with those fixtures.
Right.
And I'm more inspired, not jealous. You know, like it's like, that's really cool. We were talking about, is it Christian Jackson? And I think
Christian Jackson's a great one.
You know,
shout out to Christian.
And
we'll put him in the profile.
He's a man. I mean, I love following that guy. Like
he's got a great YouTube page.
Yeah. And
I go on there all the time when I'm like learning MA3 because I'm still learning the MA3 software because that thing is way different.
Yeah, for sure.
And his videos have been very informative. Like just how he goes through it and everything is great.
Yeah, you know, and even internationally, I think it's Carlos Andres Campos or some I think that's his name.
Yeah.
You know, like following what are they doing internationally?
Yeah.
Even, you know, because it's not. You could always learn from someone.
Right.
And so I think those are the resources I use a lot. You know, I also follow a lot of like the film and grip stuff because sometimes I've done, you know, lighting for films on the set and they want something unique and they're like, a lot of the grips don't use what we use and vice versa. Exactly. So I think it brings something to the table, you know. So I would say those would be the ones I'd follow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think it's also like, it's the idea of, like you were saying, art. Like there's going to be some things where they go this direction with it and then they're going to go this direction with it. And it's the beauty of this is we're just using items to create art and we can all get inspired by that. There is no like, oh, like he did that way better than me. It's like, oh, bro, like I'm taking that to the next show kind of thing. It's one of those things where I don't know a lot of other industries where you can kind of get that.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Now I got a better answer for your what's in my arsenal. Really, if I really wanted, and I feel bad about saying computer, I would say I love the Titan tubes.
Oh, those are great.
And the reason
we use them during COVID. We got like 14 of them, I think.
Yeah, they're just
like
it's
for
just
a couple months it felt like to play with, and you could do so much with them.
But that's what I'm saying. Like scenic wise, even if you want to do skin tone for filming, like it's just that is a fixture that I think I would always want to have in my arsenal.
Yeah,
it's just ready to go. Yeah, you know. So sorry, I took it way back, but I was like, you know what? It's bugging me.
It's good that little thought process in there. He's been killing him the whole time.
Yes. we want to thank you for joining us. This has been great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And your website is 512creative.com?
512-creative.com.
512-creative.com. So put the link to their website if you guys need anything in the LA area or beyond. Feel free to reach out to them. And yeah. Anything you want to say, Nick?
No, I'm so glad you came on the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's always great to talk to guys.
Yeah, you're our first official guest too.
Oh,
so
dude, I had
this
no
is
idea.
Great.
No,
wow.
it's beautiful.
We kicked it off really
Dude,
well.
Thank you so much. No,
Yeah.
and honestly, I'm a big fan of you guys too. I mean, I follow your pages. I mean, we didn't know each other from anything.
Just social media friends, I think. Maybe through Kinetic and James and all that. Yeah.
So I think that, again, it goes to show you can learn from anywhere.
Exactly. We're trying to make this big industry smaller, even though it's a small industry, but there is a lot of people in it.
For sure.
So we're trying to make it smaller through this podcast / YouTube channel, and I think this is helping. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you, man.
And
thank you, guys.
We'll see you all later. If you like this, obviously on YouTube, make sure you like it, subscribe it, share it.
Yeah, check out the socials. Check out James's socials.
Yeah, we'll put his social on the post. We'll put him on our page. If you're not following us, we do have our own Instagram for the podcast. It's the Crew Talk Production Podcast. And officially, we're on every major podcast streaming site, Amazon, Spotify.
It feels good to be
Apple.
official.
We're official. So, and we're on the YouTube channel. We're going to film almost all of our podcasts, so that way, if there's anything visual we need to show, we can show it. And
yeah, I think that's all we got. I think that's it for this week. I think we're good.
We'll see you all next time.
I'm gonna figure out how to speak French for the next one.
I think so. Yeah.
Exactly.
Ow.